Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of SpongeBob Now. Today, I will be talking about Patty Caper, and Plankton's regular. First, I'm going to talk about Patty Caper. Enjoy. In the beginning of the episode, Mr. Krabs summons SpongeBob to his office, where he tells SpongeBob that he has run low on the secret ingredient of the Krabby Patty's secret formula because of the recent lunch rush. However, he is expecting a delivery to refill it and tells him to retrieve it from a SWAT truck driver, but threatens punishment if he loses it. After receiving the case, SpongeBob opens the briefcase, only to find the ingredient is not there. However, the only clue left is a small hole in the briefcase. After deducing that someone stole the ingredient, Patrick appears to see him and SpongeBob tells him of what occurred. SpongeBob and Patrick then go on a mission to find out who stole it. First, they suspect Plankton, since he is the only one that has ever tried to steal a Krabby Patty and since he had a Krabby Patty. Plankton asks if it is a joke, then to make him tell the truth, Patrick threatens him with clackers, with still no answer. SpongeBob picks up the Krabby Patty and shows it to Plankton, who then explains that it was merely a replica of Krabby Patty he made. He then reveals that he learned every ingredient but the secret ingredient and tested many ingredients to decipher the formula completely and was currently on raw sewage. Next, they suspect Sandy, who is storing Krabby Patties for the winter, but says she just ordered them. SpongeBob's story of Sandy's crime was that she used an invisible potion to make her vanish, so nobody can see her. She then used her time-freezing invention to freeze time, shot a laser through the briefcase and take off with the ingredient, continuing the timeline again. However, Sandy brings up the possibility of simply ordering the food. To prove her point, she angrily shows SpongeBob a receipt for 283 patties and the nervous SpongeBob remembers cooking the order and apologizes for the accusations. She then suggests that they should go and look at SpongeBob's house. At SpongeBob's pineapple, the friends suspect Gary. SpongeBob suggests that Gary took a helicopter ride towards the delivery, so when SpongeBob knelt down to pull up his socks and while everyone was distracted, Gary parachuted down and used his acid from his tear ducts to melt a hole big enough for him to grab the briefcase. Gary says it would be impossible, and SpongeBob remembers that he never stopped to pull up his sock during a secret delivery. Gary says he saw someone leaving the Krusty Krab with a black case. Gary describes the person to Patrick and Patrick concludes the person is Squidward. They then head to Squidward's house and interrogate him. When asked about the black case, Squidward reveals he does have one, but when they open the case, they find it just holds tap dancing shoes Squidward used at a tap dancing contest he participated in earlier, where he got third place and showed the medal he won as proof. He then tells them to get out, before lifting his house up then moves it away from them, then walks inside. With no one left to suspect, SpongeBob goes back to the Krusty Krab and admits to Mr. Krabs that he lost the secret ingredient and that he cannot find it or who took it. Mr. Krabs then suspects SpongeBob, much to his horror and shock, suggesting that the latter used a decoy to look like he was picking up the delivery. Then when everyone was not looking, SpongeBob swooped in, took the briefcase, and then flew it over to the chum bucket, where he sold it to Plankton for a quick buck. SpongeBob tries to say he didn't, but Mr. Krabs shuts him up and tells him he going to call the cops, but two officers hop out of a barrel and explain that they have already heard everything. Mr. Krabs then points at SpongeBob for the officers to arrest, accidentally revealing the stolen secret ingredient bottle in his claw, which SpongeBob points out, having originally believed that it was a replica during his earlier meeting with Mr. Krabs. Realizing Mr. Krabs was the real thief and that he was going to let SpongeBob take the blame for the caper, the officers confront him. Mr. Krabs sheepishly explains to the cops that he considered $1.99 for the ingredient delivery to be too expensive, so he simply took it to avoid paying. The officers then arrest him for the theft, attempting to frame SpongeBob, and his cheap nature. Rather than admit what he did was wrong, Mr. Krabs frantically asks what he did. After his arrest, Judge Trout punishes him by giving away Krabby Patties for free all day tomorrow, much to his dismay. Mr. Krabs states he could not bear the sight of doing such a thing. The next day, SpongeBob gives away all the patties to the customers, while Mr. Krabs is forcibly watching the scene while strapped to a chair and the officers hold on to his eyes as he screams in agony at the sight and the officers laugh, as the episode ends. Next, I'm going to talk about Plankton's regular. Enjoy. In the beginning of the episode, Inside the empty chum bucket, Plankton is frustrated about having no customers, when a fish named Nat comes asking for a chumstick. A disbelieving Plankton gives Nat the chumstick, who says it is so good that he will return the next day. Plankton is overjoyed by this and brags to Karen, who seems barely shaken about it. The next day, Plankton waits at the door with a chumstick for Nat. After 8 hours of waiting and eventually Plankton falls asleep while waiting but is woken by the clock, Nat finally comes, eats the chumstick, and tells Plankton he has a regular customer on his hands. At the Krusty Krab, Plankton appears on Mr. Krab's desk. When the latter traps him underneath a spoon, Plankton gloats about having a regular customer, assuring Mr. Krabs that they will no longer be competing. Mr. Krabs laughs at him and shows off all his customers eating Krabby Patties. Then Nat appears at the restaurant and in front of Mr. Krabs, who's holding Plankton, requests a chumstick. The scene ends with Nat carrying Plankton back to the chum bucket, with Plankton mocking Mr. Krabs and insulting him. Mr. Krabs explains the situation to SpongeBob and orders him to redirect Nat to being a Krusty Krab customer through multiple attempts, mostly shoving a Krabby Patty into his face and at one point forcing him to eat it unsuccessful. Mr. Krabs bursts into tears at these failures, saying that he cannot afford for Plankton to have even just one customer. SpongeBob says that if he wants Nat to eat at the Krusty Krab, he will have to make chum as good as Plankton's. This gives Mr. Krabs the idea to steal the chum recipe. That night, Mr. Krabs sneaks into the chum bucket trying to steal Plankton's recipe, but Plankton catches him with a security system that involves trapping him under a giant spoon, a likely reference to when he was trapped under one. SpongeBob then grabs Plankton and starts talking about the irony of the situation, but Plankton then uses the spoon security system on SpongeBob as well. After Plankton reveals the name of his system, Karen shows on screen that Nat is headed for the chum bucket with a fortune. However, when Nat arrives he throws the money at Karen and calls off a deal, announcing that he can't eat any more chum due to it causing him get his stomach pumped twice before he collapses and is carried off by paramedics for his third stomach pump. Once they leave, Karen reveals to a confused Plankton that she was bribing Nat to eat his chum so that he would stop complaining about having no customers. This causes Plankton to feel depressed once again, calling himself a waste of a lower life form, to which Karen tells him unsympathetically to cut it out before crying. Meanwhile, SpongeBob mentions to Mr. Krabs about making a hasty retreat. They are still trapped under the spoons, but he decides to stay, enjoying and laughing at Plankton's misery as SpongeBob just watches stunned as the episode ends. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Goodbye everyone.